NFL Week 1. Shocks, sleeper picks, betting bombshells. Fantasy Week 1, sleepers you must start. Stop scrolling. Week 1 is here and the Giants, Falcons, might be the underdog goldmine nobody's talking about. Jags ready to crush. Jets, Steelers under 38. And wait till you hear the fantasy sleeper picks that could win your league in Week 1. DraftKings, FanDuel, fantasy football this week is yours if you know where to look. Don't miss it. Our full breakdown is on the podcast. Tap in now. No matter how many NFL seasons you've watched, there's nothing like that. Week 1 chaos. Everyone's undefeated, every fan's hopeful, and every fantasy manager thinks they've built a super team. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the Daily World Pod by Zebra Truth. I'm your host, Thomas Smith, and today we're unpacking the major stories that has shaken up the NFL fans all over the world with the start of the new season this weekend. We're joined by our expert, Jane. Jane, welcome to the show. And let's dive right in, shall we?
Thanks, Thomas. Let's do this. I can't blame the betting crowd divisional underdogs in Week 1 have made plenty of wallets fatter over the years, but I'm especially eyeing the Jaguars. They're getting a lot of buzz to cover against the Panthers, and with a new coach, plus some glaring holes in Carolina's defense, it feels like the perfect storm for upsets and big fantasy numbers.
That's the magic of Week 1, right? You never know if you'll end up celebrating a sneaky underpick or cursing your fantasy lineup by halftime. Speaking of which, have you been lured into any of those DFS traps, like Christian McCaffrey or Drake London? Or are you looking for that overlooked gem with breakout potential?
Honestly, I always get tempted by the big names. But this is the week to get weird. Everyone's fixated on McCaffrey, but a guy like Emeka Egbuka for the Bucks might just steal the show. Plus, let's not ignore the Jets-Steelers matchup analysts. Love the under 38 with those defenses. It'll either be a field goal fest or just our luck, one of those accidental shootouts.
You know, the NFL isn't the only place with fireworks. Bill Belichick's move to ban Patriots scouts from UNC practices has college football fans and NFL diehards trading hot takes everywhere. It almost feels surreal, Belichick, of all people, drawing this hard line.
The pettiness is almost Shakespearean. On one level, you sort of get it, he wants to set boundaries and protect his new turf. But let's be real. The ones losing out here are the UNC players. Limiting NFL visibility just because of a personal feud? That's a tough pill for those guys working toward the draft.
It's wild, isn't it? The guy wins 6 Super Bowls, but suddenly he's running a college program with a grudge. Meanwhile, the Patriots are on to their next drama, and UNC players are left worrying if this costs them a shot at the pros. I wonder, does this kind of move actually fire up a team, or does it just create more headaches?
That actually reminds me of old-school coaching moves. Sometimes it rallies the locker room, but other times it just sours the vibe. If Belichick's goal is unity, he's got to make sure it's about the team, not old scars. Otherwise, he might find that building a new legacy is harder than he thought.
Players bouncing back from injuries always add another layer of suspense to Week 1. Christian McCaffrey says he feels great, but you can almost hear fantasy managers everywhere holding their breath and frantically refreshing Twitter for last-minute updates.
I know that feeling far too well. You want to trust the "I'm fine" quotes, but after last season's roller coaster with McCaffrey, nobody's taking it at face value. With that late-game slot, one false move and your entire fantasy week goes sideways. It's brutal.
And it's not just him. Micah Parsons is on a snap count, Godwin and Waller are out, but at least Tyreek Hill and Akane are good to go. Honestly, it makes you appreciate how much depth matters, both for NFL teams and for us fantasy addicts, trying to salvage a decent score with backup plan.
Totally. It also shows how the NFL is a war of attrition from the jump. It's a win for fans when stars return, but I can't help but wish teams would think a little longer term with player health. Because one big Sunday could mean weeks of rehab, and nobody sees that behind the highlight reel.
Switching gears to tennis, did you catch the US Open final drama? I'm not talking about the match. I mean the 30-minute delayed, fans stuck in lines like they were at the DMV during lunch hour.
It was almost as tense off the court as on. The crowd's mix of cheers, and then you've got organizers asking TV crews not to show the negative reactions. It felt less like a sports event and more like a political summit with the tennis match as the opener.
I had friends texting me from the stadium saying they missed the first few games because they were still in line. It's wild. Fans pay thousands and end up watching the intro on their phones. Do you think the organizers went too far in trying to keep the broadcast squeaky clean?
Honestly, a little authenticity never hurt anyone. Part of the magic of sports is the raw, unfiltered energy of the crowd. When you start sanitizing it for optics, you lose some of what makes these moments real. Next time, Maybe a little less stage management and a bit more trust in the fans?
Jumping back to football, can we talk about Jamison Williams and that $83 million extension with the Lions? Talk about a glow-up. From bouncing back after an ACL to cashing in big and becoming a key piece of Detroit's offense.
It's a fantastic comeback story, no doubt. Williams has battled through injuries and suspensions, but last year's numbers finally matched the hype. Still, shelling out that much cash this early, especially with Aiden Hutchinson's deal still in limbo, feels like the Lions are rolling the dice a bit.
I totally get it. On one hand, you lock in a potential superstar with your QB and WR duo set for years. On the other, the edge rusher market is exploding. Hutchinson's price tag isn't going down anytime soon. It's a classic NFL juggling act, rewarding potential versus keeping the whole roster happy.
You know what? Sometimes you just have to bet on culture. If Williams keeps up the growth on and off the field, that deal looks genius. But if things unravel, Detroit could find themselves paying for past optimism. Either way, the NFC North just got a lot more interesting.
Let's talk college ball for a sec. Michigan's loss to Oklahoma has fans flipping between panic and patience. Bryce Underwood, the new freshman QB, had a rough ride. 9 for 24, a ton of pressure, and a sideline that looked one bad snap away from a meltdown.
That's what you get with a true freshman moments of brilliance and a handful of growing pains. That 75-yard touchdown run by Justice Haynes showed the offense's ceiling, but the O-line issues and missed tackles are red flags. The silver lining? Oklahoma exposed the warts early, so there's time to patch them up.
And I have to say, if you're a Michigan fan, you've got to hope these issues are more about youth and nerves than a deeper flaw. Central Michigan's up next, kind of the ultimate gut check before the schedule gets crazy. Do you see them bouncing back? Or could this spiral if the fixes aren't quick?
If they tighten up the fundamentals, protection, discipline, and communication, they've got the talent to steady the ship. But if those cracks linger, it's going to be a long fall in Ann Arbor. This is where coaching and leadership get tested for real.
And finally, Florida football. What a wild ride. Not only did they lose to South Florida, but the spitting incident and all those penalties put Coach Billy Napier's hot seat in the national spotlight. 11 penalties for over Stratus yards is just brutal.
That game felt like a crash course in how not to win. The Brendan Betts spitting thing is embarrassing, but what worries me more is the pattern, lack of discipline, sloppy execution, and a coach who's now staring at a massive buyout if things don't turn around. The pressure cooker's on.
You almost want to root for redemption. Bet apologized, teammates rallied, and Napier keeps hammering home the importance of character. But you can't overlook the scoreboard, especially with a brutal schedule looming. At some point, good intentions have to translate to results.
For sure. Maybe this is the wake-up call Florida needed to fix the foundation. If they can combine that off-field growth with actual execution, there's a shot to salvage the season. Otherwise, all those viral moments might be the only thing Gators fans have to cheer about for a while. Here's to more drama, more dialogue, and never settling for the easy narrative. Okay, on that positive note, that is a wrap for today then. Well, thanks to everyone for listening to the Daily World Pod by ZebraTruth. If you learned something today or got a little fired up, share the episode, subscribe, and stay tuned. We'll be back with more from the bleeding edge of AI and sports. Meanwhile, you can also visit our website www.zebratruth.com and download our app to stay informed and stay connected.